The Democratic Alliance is protesting outside the gates of Parliament in support of the DA leader John Steenhuisen motion of no confidence against President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet. Parliament will vote today. Now, the DA believes that Ramaphosa and his cabinet are falling, or should I say failing, to address a number of issues facing the country. Newzroom Afrika's Athi Mtongana joining us live from outside Parliament. Athi, good morning to you. What is happening where you are?
Very good morning to you once again, Goli. I want to quickly set the scene for you as scores of DA supporters have gathered outside Parliament this morning, as you've mentioned, in support of their leader, John Steenhuisen, who tabled a motion of no confidence against President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet, and that he put forward during the State of the Nation debate. And that motion today is being heard. Similarly to that was also tabled by the ATM, which is against President Cyril Ramaphosa. But the business of the DA today, as I asked my colleague to pan and show you the scores of DA supporters that are outside, their business is one that basically stems from the motion that was tabled by John Steenhuisen. These are the people who have stood outside the parliamentary precinct. Now, I want my colleague to show you the ministers that have been put up in a banner by the Democratic Alliance, which is labeled Cabinet Must Go.
And those are the people we must say no to. But we need the police's help. Communities are doing stuff. There are 50,000 average watchmen in this city, patrolling, walking bus, street committees.
These are the faces that they've put up in their campaign to call for President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet to exit and to leave their positions as leaders of government. Now, if you may recall, not so long ago, the Democratic Alliance here in Parliament held a press briefing to outline the performance of these ministers that they've put up, similarly to those whose faces they've put up in that placard, where they were calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to take action based on the assessments that they had made regarding the performance of President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet. Now, I do want my colleague to walk with me as I try to find some of the leaders of the Democratic Alliance here. I'm sure you can see the leader of the party, John Steenhuisen, who Michelle spoke to this morning, standing by to greet members of the Democratic Alliance that have gathered out here today. Now, I'm just quickly going to grab Cyril, who is the national spokesperson. Cyril, it was not so long ago where we were here, where you were speaking about the performance of these cabinet ministers that you're calling to step down. Following that, what have you done as the party? We know that you wanted an ad hoc committee or a separate committee to particularly look at the work around the president.
Yeah. Look, I mean, first of all, I think I've listened to some of the critique around this motion and people saying, is it a waste of time and the like. The reality, Athi, is that the drafters of the Constitution and the drafters of the rules of the National Assembly foresaw a moment just like this one, where the National Assembly would express itself where it has in fact lost its confidence in the cabinet. And so this is why we've moved this motion. We moved this motion because we believe that the president is in a jam lock where he is essentially unable to move politically in his party. And we're not interested in internal politics of the DA. But what we want to say is that this House has the ability to remove a cabinet when it's not performing. And every single report that has been released thus far indicates how ministers are implicated in corruption, they're not performing. Even the job stats from yesterday indicate that very thing. And so we've reached out to some of our partners across opposition parties. We're going to be pleading with some of the members of the ANC to say that they need to vote with their conscience and perhaps vote out this cabinet.
At the back of that notion that you've just raised, where people are saying this is basically pointless given the numbers of ANC MPs inside the National Assembly, and also at the back of the speaker saying, well, they will actually participate in the debate, which the DA essentially was saying was a conflict of interest. Once again, that question, is it going to yield any results? We know that the majority are ANC MPs.
No, of course. I mean, and the reality is that this is a numbers game, and you know, if we went with that kind of attitude, we would never do anything in Parliament, even as the official opposition.
So is this a political statement?
Not at all. I think that first of all, there's a reason why the rule exists, and we must use it. And we don't know. I mean, we were able to be victorious in getting every single member of the National Assembly to be able to voice out what their vote is. And whatever vote people make today, that will go down in history. That will be recorded as them having voted for either a cabinet that will do what's good for South Africa or not. And I think ultimately people will be held accountable for that. So I don't think it's a stunt at all. It's high time that this National Assembly practices what it preaches about accountability, and we make work what is available to us.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for your time. The speaker, the spokesperson rather of the Democratic Alliance here in Parliament. And speaking about the speaker then, the Speaker of the National Assembly, not so long ago coming out to deny the request by the Democratic Alliance, saying that they, as the party which brought this motion against the MPs, they essentially wanted members of the African National Congress inside the National Assembly to not participate in this debate this afternoon, simply because they were saying that it would be a conflict of interest where they'd be basically voting against themselves. But the Speaker then said, well, because they are members of the National Assembly and as per the Constitution, they are obligated to participate in the work of the Assembly, and therefore denying the Democratic Alliance that request to exclude members of the African National Congress as MPs in Parliament. So they will be participating in the debate this afternoon, which is tabled against them by the DA. It will also be done similarly to that of President Cyril Ramaphosa in an open voting system.
Athi Mtongana, thank you very much for that update. Completely or perhaps partially drowned out by the sounds coming out of that particular event, the demonstration by the DA members outside Parliament.